Kansas out for revenge in its rematch with Texas. Back on the Kalins of February, the Longhorns thumped the Jayhawks in Austin. Kansas head coach Bill Self said afterwards he felt Texas was the hungrier team. But he added, when the Longhorns come to Allen Fieldhouse, Kansas better be the hungrier team. The fans are certainly hungry in Lawrence, and we're ready for Texas and Kansas next. It's one of the great backdrops in all of collegiate sports. Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence, Kansas. 19th ranked Texas, 8th ranked Kansas. The Jayhawks with a win would close in on a 10th straight Big 12 regular season title. Texas with a win would pull to within a game of Kansas for first place in the conference. And with that, we say good evening and East Romp alongside former Providence head coach Tim Wells. Boy, it is loud, it is raucous here. In the first meeting back in Austin, it was like a mid-'80s Tyson fight. Texas came out, landed a couple of haymakers, and Kansas never recovered.
Well, I'm smiling because this is a treat to be here, but Bill Self wasn't smiling talking about the first Texas game because they got knocked around, pushed down, knocked in the face, and didn't respond. Expect his team to try to play tough and play at the rim and in the lane early and often tonight.
And that means Andrew Wiggins has to be aggressive. In our one-on-one, we look at what Wiggins did last time. He was not aggressive.
Well, he started out the game, and Texas was very physical with him. They went at him early and often with their physical defense, help side defense as well. DeMarcus Howland really looked to deny him on the wing, and Ridley and Ebay were scaring Wiggins, so he started settling for jumpers. So a little talk out there. Holland backed up his talk with great defense. Wiggins took too many jump shots. Look for him to be aggressive early tonight as well.
Holland's one of the best defenders in this conference. For more on DeMarcus Howland, here's the third member of our team, Kaylee Hartung.
Rick Barnes has been quick to praise DeMarcus Holland's defensive effort. DeMarcus Holland averaging more minutes than any player on this Texas team because, as Rick Barnes says, he competes, he never gives up on a play. Now, second to Coach Barnes, the praise as of late has come from Bill Self. Following that loss in Austin, he said, DeMarcus Holland wore us out. DeMarcus tells me his goal tonight to keep Wiggins off the glass and to challenge him in transition defense, make him settle for more of those jumpers.
All right, Kaylee, let's take a look at the starting lineups. First for visiting Texas, Isaiah Taylor was fantastic in the first meeting between these two teams. He had 23 points. Jonathan Holmes leads Texas in scoring, and Cam Ridley, the big sophomore, 4 blocks against the Jayhawks back on February 1st. For Kansas, Nadir Tharp has to play well. He only has 1 field goal in his last 2 games. Andrew Wiggins had the game winner Tuesday against Texas Tech. Harry Ellis did not have a field goal in that game, and Joel Embiid, the big guy in the middle. Bill Self told us Embiid about 90%. He's had some back and knee issues.
He's going to have to be 100% tonight because Cam Ridley and the bigs of Texas are going to go at him again. And Texas length and size presented a lot of problems for Kansas because it's not only Ridley. They send Ebay at him. They send Connor Lambert at him. So they have a lot of bigs. They give a lot of support when Embiid gets the ball in the low box.
Kansas controls the tip. The Jayhawks coming off a win in Lubbock against Texas Tech, and a quick turnover for Kansas on its very first possession. The Jayhawks a very good shooting team, better than 50% from the field, but they do turn it over a lot.
Nadir Tharp's got to play well. There's no question about it. As he goes, so does Kansas, and a little carry early by DeMarcus Holland, but the referees look the other way.
There is Isaiah Taylor. He has become one of the top freshmen in the Big 12. Holland in the lane, blocked by Wiggins. Loose ball scramble. And a jump ball signal by Terry Oglesby. Oglesby, Steve Olson, and John Higgins are 3 official. Higgins is the one with the really good hair.
Well, Rick Barnes, we talk about Bill Self being a little cranky talking about the first game in Austin. Rick Barnes was cranky about the game they played the other night at Iowa State. He said they weren't tough early and shot selection was an issue. That wasn't a good selection by Holland.
Runner by Taylor with the shot clock running down, won't go. Entry pass to Perry Ellis. He had 32 points last Saturday against TCU, but did not have a field goal in the win against Texas Tech, and he misses his first shot. Here's Holmes, strong to the tin, and Texas with the first bucket of the game, Jonathan Holmes.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to get the ball in the lane and go to the rim. They took 45 free throws in the first matchup, and Kansas has to do a better job of keeping them out of the paint.
Joel Embiid inside, left it short, but a foul. It's on Jonathan Holmes, his first team foul on Texas. There is Rick Barnes. Last season was the first time that he missed the NCAA tournament as the head coach at Texas. Essentially a reboot. Top 4 scorers gone, and this team, the chemistry has been much better, and so have the results.
Well, it's funny. Some of these analysts that have nothing better to do in the summer than put coaches on the hot seat. They had Rick Barnes on the hot seat. That was the funniest thing I've ever read, because this guy is a winner through and through. And when I talked to him at Big 12 Media Day, he always has that little Hickory, North Carolina twinkle in his eye, but he had a special one this year because he knew he had a good young team that he wanted to be around, and a special sleeper point guard in Isaiah Taylor.
Kansas 20-6 entering play at this juncture last season. The Longhorns were 12-14 as Embiid gets Kansas on the board.
Good job by Wayne Selden controlling Isaiah Taylor.
Entry pass leads to a turnover. Here's Wiggins, checked by Holland. That's a matchup to watch. Selden and Embiid playing catch. The turnaround, and Joel Embiid with a nice touch.
Well, they're going right at Cam Ridley early and often, and he's got to get around Joel Embiid down low. And they're playing a little one-on-one basketball in the post.
Here's Taylor. Up and under, no good, but the putback is there by Holmes.
Well, again, that's what Isaiah Taylor does. He gets by his man. He creates angles, even though he missed the shot. He drew the shot blocker over, and Texas rotated to the glass on the weak side. Kansas did not.
Felix went for the steal. Again, they go inside to Embiid. Help was late, and a foul before the shot.
Well, again, Nish, here's what Isaiah Taylor does. He presents problems. Even when he misses shots, he draws the defense over. Even though Embiid doesn't come all the way over, he gets caught flat-footed looking on the weak side, and then Jonathan Holmes finishes it up.
That last foul on Cam Ridley, so both Holmes and Ridley with one foul early, and Ridley to the bench. In comes Prince Ebay, who played very well against Kansas in that first meeting. Ebay had 4 blocks in that game.
Texas had 12 blocks. They were just so physical at the rim with Kansas every time they drove the lane.
Tharp lets it fly from deep, and the rebound to Ebay. Wiggins picks up Taylor. And a foul underneath as Ebay and Ellis were jockeying for position. And a foul goes on Ellis, his first. Bill Self in his 11th season as Kansas's head coach. The Jayhawks have only lost 5 conference games at home under Bill Self.
Well, that's a punch in the stomach right there by Jonathan Holmes. He just went right through Perry Ellis's chest, and Ellis did not provide any resistance.
Selden no good. Ebay lost the rebound, but he's fouled by Embiid.
Well, if this is the MO tonight for Kansas, they're in deep trouble. Perry Ellis just does not wrap around and then just gets caved in at the rim, does not present any power at all. Just didn't put the wall up his hand. He could have drawn a charge down there, but that's an issue at times for Perry Ellis.
Contact there between Taylor and Selden, no foul. Shot clock at 15. Here's Holland. Off the feed from Felix. Holland hits the jumper, and Texas on top, 8-3 in the early going. Wiggins driving, no good. eBay fights for the rebound in traffic, and Holland dives to save it from going out of bounds. That's what Rick Barnes likes about his sophomore DeMarcus Holland. He'll do anything on the court.
A message delivered early by Texas and Rick Barnes. He was not happy with the way they played at Iowa State. He was still upset about it this morning, and his team came in here tonight focused and ready to play.
Wiggins went for the shot fake. Holland blocked by Embiid. Ellis pushes the loose ball to Selden. And that's going to be basket interference. Joel Embiid with this block set the Kansas freshman record for block shots in a season, one better than Eric Chenoweth. The road team has hit 4 of its first 8 shots, and Texas with an 8-5 lead on Kansas here in the early going. Anish Rav, Tim Welsh. Tim, what's in tonight's Welsh Watch?
Well, it's got to be the front line play, and it's got to be Joel Embiid. Does he answer the call of the presence and the physicality of Texas big men? He got pushed around, shoved around, and knocked around in Austin. And tonight he looks like he's ready for the challenge. They're going at him early and often, and he is going to the rim and not shying away. Texas length and physicality really gave Embiid and Kansas a problem in Austin.
Before we went to break, Embiid had his 63rd block. That is a new Kansas freshman record. And here it is on DeMarcus Holland.
DeMarcus Holland better learn, if he hasn't already, don't go in there off balance. He's got to read the defense and be ready to make a pass when he draws the defense, especially Embiid when he's running at him.
Kaylee Hartung with more. Kaylee?
Anish, during that huddle, a frustrated Bill Self telling his team, you have got to put pressure on Texas. They're driving right past us.
That's what we saw back on February 1st in Austin. And a lot of that was Isaiah Taylor. There's his patented right-handed floater. It'll be out of bounds to Texas.
Nadir Tharp has to be ready to defend Isaiah Taylor off the ball on the catch, not when before he catches the ball. He's kind of out of his stance and giving him clear angles into the lane on the wing.
Bill Self told us point guard defense from Kansas had to be big. He said they had to cut off Taylor early. They had to cut off the head of this Texas offense.
But I do like Kansas' look on defense. They're down in the stance, they're communicating, they're rotating better than they actually did in the Texas Tech game.
Jonathan Holmes, he's got 6 already. Offensive rebound to Martez Walker, the freshman from Detroit. Holmes lines it up from outside, and Embiid taps the rebound to himself. Wiggins just 1 shot attempt in the early going, 0 for 1 from the field. Here's Nadir Tharp. Embiid to Wiggins on the wing, and that's good. It's a three, and we're tied at 8.
That was against the 2-3 zone. Texas switched up, and Kansas looked pretty comfortable on the attack.
eBay fell down. No call on Embiid. Here's Walker. And here comes Kansas in transition. Sheldon to Tharp for 3. And the rebound to Holmes. He took it away from Jamari Traylor. Taylor all the way, and that's blocked by Embiid. Tharp back the other way for 2, and Kansas has the lead.
Isaiah Taylor usually gets where he wants to go, except when there's the man in the middle who's one of the best shot blockers in college basketball. He's got to understand, maybe that's the time to pull it out.
Felix pulls up, then connects.
And Taylor is fearless, usually going to the lane, and you saw it on that play, the play before, when he went at Embiid. Usually he draws a foul, but Embiid has just such impeccable timing and the ability to come over and defend without fouling.
We've seen some transition opportunities in the early going for Kansas. Rick Barnes said Texas can't allow that to have a chance at Allen Fieldhouse.
Well, it's the block shots, it's the quick shots right now that are a problem for Texas, because that leads to runouts and easy looks for Kansas.
Embiid, no good. And he traveled. Good defense down low by Prince eBay. Sunday night on ESPNU. It's ACC Sunday Night Basketball. Pittsburgh tries to snap a 2-game losing streak. First game for Pitt since last Saturday. They're home for Florida State. And then Arizona State, Utah, 8 Eastern, a Pac-12 battle. Go figure. Arizona State, last Friday, they got the big win against Arizona in double overtime, and then lose to Colorado on Wednesday.
Well, Colorado is right at the ship without Spencer Dinwiddie, and Tad Boyle is a terrific coach. He's no excuses. We're playing without him, and we're going to make a run to the tournament.
Cam Ridley back in the game for Texas. Holland tries to force it into Ridley, and a foul on the floor.
Well, Nice, the difference already I see in this game from the first matchup is Kansas is doing a much better job in their half-court defense. They're tighter off the ball. Their communication's better. Their ball screen coverage has been very good. Their rotations have been good, and they're active with their hands.
Croker, Holland, Ridley, Connor Lammert, and Isaiah Taylor on the floor for Texas. Taylor, there's the floater, back iron. And a rebound to Traylor. Here's Frank Mason, freshman out of Petersburg, Virginia. And Wiggins fouled as he's going to the basket.
Texas initially was fortunate on that missed floater by Taylor, because he took the ball right from the top into the lane. And when you do that as a point guard, someone has to rotate back from the weak side for backside protection in transition. And Kansas looked like they might have had a run out, but Kansas very aggressive right now in the half court and looking to get the ball into the low box.
Andrew Wiggins, 19 points for the win against Texas Tech on Tuesday. And we were talking with some of the Kansas assistants at shoot-around this morning. They said that was the most aggressive they've seen him all season in terms of taking the ball to the basket.
He's been very good. I mean, as of late, he's fit well now. He's feeling more comfortable into the system that Bill Self wants, and also in his own game, and being able to take over games at times. Sometimes he's a little bit too shy out there on the floor, where he's not aggressive enough with his offense, but as of late, he's been terrific.
Wiggins has 5 so far in this one. Lammert checked by Traylor. Lammert looking for help. Lost it to Traylor. Breakaway chance for Wiggins. Look out.
Now Texas is getting pushed off their spots, both on the low box and on the wing. Kansas is denying everywhere.
7 points for Wiggins. That's what he had against Texas in the first meeting, and the Longhorns turn it over. Texas you are not in Austin anymore. Allen Fieldhouse and Andrew Wiggins has awoken. Kansas up by 4, 11-10 to go in the first half. Anish Rafton Welsh, Kaylee Hartung, Andrew Wiggins, 7 total points when these two played back on February 1st. He's got 7 already. Joel Embiid has got 3 in the early going. You're sensing more aggressiveness from Kansas. Instead of having the fight come to them, they are taking the fight to Texas.
And it starts on the defensive end of the floor. There's no question about it. Their defense has been superb tonight because everything Texas has gotten offensively has really been a struggle. And in the half court, they've done a nice job containing Isaiah Taylor. Their ball screen coverage has been very good. But Andrew Wiggins, out of the gate tonight, looked like he had a little pop in his step. He got loose on the wing against their 2-3 zone. And really, they got into him early and often in Austin. But defensively, they've rotated. They've shared the basketball. That's against the zone where he just slid into that gap. And let him loose in transition, forget about it. And that's, again, started by their defense. And it's 5-1 right now for Kansas defensively. Texas just needs some more, not only ball movement, but player movement. They're kind of stagnant off the ball. Kansas is in the lane, really waiting on them when they get there and on their drives to the rim.
You look at that 2-for-12 performance earlier this month. In the first half of that game up in Austin, Wiggins was without a field goal, 0-for-7. And he gets a little break on the Kansas bench. 5 on the floor for Jayhawks: Frank Mason, Adir Tharp, Wayne Selden, Tariq Black, and Jamari Traylor. So no Embiid, no Wiggins for Kansas. Taylor, Holland, Ridley, Holmes, and Felix. The 5 for Rick Barnes in Texas.
3-2 zone out of that timeout for Texas. They'll play 3-2, 2-3, 1-3-1, triangle and 2. Rick's got it all.
And Frank Mason, the freshman, traveled, so Kansas turns it over.
And if you have confidence in that as a coach, it's great to change on timeouts because the other team just kind of freezes it for a few moments. It may just take them out of their rhythm, but Texas' problem has not been defense. It's been on the offensive end. Let's see if they get a little bit more movement away from the ball and change sides of the floor.
Jonathan Holmes, he's got 6 for Texas. Felix, the team's leading scorer in conference games, better than 15 points per game. Taylor not getting the bounce here in Lawrence. Mason gets the roll at the other end.
That's what Frank Mason does. He's just like a fullback trying to get to the goal line and the elevation at the rack.
13-2 run for the Jayhawks. Swarming defense in the first half so far.
Well, they're running their offense 35 feet from the basket. That's an issue for Texas.
Shot clock down to 5. Holmes lost it on the way up, and he's fouled.
Well, the ball pressure has been superb for Kansas, and what it's done, Anish, it's forced Texas wings to catch the ball out in an area where they're not in a triple threat where they can't shoot, so they're so far from the basket. Not only can they not shoot, but it's a tough entry pass into the low post or into the high post to get into their high-low game. So their wings have to work a little harder to get open and catch the ball more towards the three-point line.
Jonathan Holmes, the lone upperclassman on this Texas roster. He was part of a 6-man recruiting class. He's only a junior, and of those 6 players in his recruiting class, he's the only one left. None of those guys graduated, by the way. Transfers and a couple deciding to go pro early. The lob to Wiggins. And Black with a hustle play, knocks it out of bounds.
This is a set play against the 2-3 zone. Well, they'll just screen the back. They send the big man up, screen the back, and screen the middle of the zone. And Andrew, see the double screen in the back, and there is just no one left to protect. The backside forward's got to come over and get outside the lane to meet Andrew Wiggins, and good night.
9 for Wiggins. He's off to a great start. Falik's way off. Wiggins, the consensus #1 freshman coming out of high school. #1 player coming out of high school. Better than 16 points per game this season. Here's Embiid. Wiggins for 3. And he is on fire. Foul on Kansas and Frank Mason.
Joel Embiid showing all of his skills tonight, feeling a little pressure on the low box against the 2-3 zone and pitching it back out to the wing. But Wiggins did a nice job of not standing still when he threw the ball into the low post. He slid into that open vacuum, and Embiid found him, and Wiggins is feeling it tonight.
He's got a dozen already. His career high is 29. Here's Lammert, stretch 4, he can hit the 3. Holmes down low, too strong, and a loose ball to Selden. Wiggins has hit 2 threes already. Selden, shot fake. Here's Wiggins, here's another 3, and it's good!
Well, good timeout by Rick Barnes, because clearly they have to make a defensive adjustment, because every one of Andrew Wiggins' 3, he's had his feet set and he's been wide open with no contest. He's got them all. This one, I believe, was against the zone again, just on a simple drive and kick, and Texas has to make an adjustment to stay home on him, whether it's zone or man, because his range is going deep tonight.
Wiggins has scored 8 straight for Kansas. He's got 15 for the game on 5 of 6 shooting. Bill Self had a quote earlier this season, I think it was taken out of context, when he said Wiggins sometimes leaves you wanting more, and Self told us, you know, that was not an insult, that wasn't a way to slight Wiggins. He's great as it is, but it speaks to his potential and what he can be. And right now we're starting to see what Andrew Wiggins can be when he's firing on all cylinders. Offensive foul on Holmes. And that's 2 on the junior from San Antonio.
Well, Bill Self out of his timeout puts a little full court pressure on Texas. Looks like they have a beat. Should have been a pass off there from Holmes to Ridley. Instead, he takes it through the big man, and the big man, not only a shot blocker, but a charge taker.
So Holmes, who had scored 6 of Texas's 10 points, goes to the bench with 2 fouls. Here's Perry Ellis. He's blocked at the rim. Kansas ball when we come back. Jayhawks up 14. It has been the Andrew Wiggins show early on. He's got 15. 24-10. Kansas on top of Texas. 7:55 to go here in the first half. This game quite the inverse of what happened back in Austin earlier this month.
What you see here, Anish, this is a set play against the zone where Joel Embiid and Tarek Black will set 2 screens in the back of the zone. And when that happens, to the rim goes Andrew Wiggins on the backside. You see the 2 little screens in the back, draws the middle of the defense up, and Cam Ridley gets caught looking at the basketball. And if you can draw that back side of the defense up and the forwards up a little bit, that's an easy play, especially if you have such a fantastic finisher like Andrew Wiggins.
Wiggins has 15. Texas has 10. The Longhorns just 5 of 18 from the field. The Jayhawks 9 of 16 to start. Let's check in with Kaylee Hartung.
Each the directive to the Texas huddle. Be aggressive, get 3 stops in a row, and we're right back where we want to be.
Kansas has been very efficient in the early going. Wiggins, the lob, that time for Embiid, a bit too high.
Well, this team's got a lot of character. They've won on the road in some tough places, including North Carolina, and beaten a lot of top 25 teams. Rick Barnes was unhappy with their play against Iowa State. Said they didn't play tough early or smart late, but looks like they're not rattled here. They're staying with their stuff. Their defense has been tight the last couple possessions.
Lambert thought about the 3. Embiid, for a big guy, doesn't mind coming out to the perimeter. Felix can't get the bounce. Wiggins trying to get free from Holland. Here's the lob down low for Ellis. Double teamed. Wiggins passed up that 3. He's 3 for 3 from downtown.
You gotta be careful with that. Doubling off Wiggins.
Shot clock running down. Tharp the fadeaway. And Taylor skies for the rebound. Here comes the freshman.
Selden right in his grill, stopping that penetration in transition.
Ridley working on Embiid. And a foul against Texas. And that is 2 on Cam Ridley. So Ridley's got 2, and Jonathan Holmes has 2. Monday on ESPNU, Oklahoma State visits TCU. The Cowboys snapped a 7-game losing streak today. Big win for Oak State against Texas Tech. Marcus Smart, big game coming back from a 3-game suspension. 16 points, 10 assists, 6 steals. Right now, Joe Lunardi as Oak State has one of his first 4 out right there on the cusp of the projected field. Selden down the lane, lost it, got it back, and gets the floater.
Well, Oklahoma State will not be out if Marcus Smart keeps playing like he did today. He was just fabulous in his return. It was good to see. I think he took his punishment well, and classy how he approached it. And Oklahoma State just moved on, and now it looks like they're ready to make a move.
23-2 run for the Jayhawks. Again, shot clock running down. Taylor, the jumper. That's not really his shot. Here's Ellis down the lane, and he'll go to the line to shoot 2. The foul on Felix.
Well, Texas right now not running any offense, and Rick Barnes extremely upset with Isaiah Taylor. And this all started again with a bad shot selection for Texas, and Kansas will get those runouts in this building off quick shots.
Ellis gets them both, and it is now a 25-2 run. This is the exact opposite of what we saw in Austin, where Texas came out the aggressor and landed early haymakers.
And Texas can't get any clear lanes to the rim.
And boy, do they need that. Connor Lambert hits the 3, and Texas finally ends the scoring drought
eBay are improved offensive players, so this may give Texas a mini lift here in the last 5 minutes.
Texas had gone about 8 minutes without scoring. A jumper by Embiid. His game has come so far since the start of the season. eBay tries to get the tap. They'll wave it off. eBay came over the back.
Well, Joel Embiid, you know he's got the back to the basket moves, but he's got a little Kevin Garnett in him as well. He can step out on the pick and roll, and that pick and slip, nice form, and Texas slow to the contest. I mean, you and I have seen him a few times, Anish, and he's the first guy out at shoot around, and he starts at the three-point line and then moves in and looks very comfortable out on the perimeter with his jump shot.
Officials looking at that last play.
I have no idea what they're looking at, and if they're saying maybe the tip-in came, the foul came after the tip-in, but they called over the back. I'm pretty sure on eBay he pushed off first and then the tip.
See the official waving off the basket. Call on the floor was an offensive foul against eBay.
At the line,
I think they were looking at see who was actually fouled on the other end, and it was Embiid. I think Tharp stepped to the line, trying to get a few freebies, as a good point guard always tries to do.
Kansas now in the bonus, so a 1-and-1 coming for Joel Embiid. Jayhawks 5 of 6 from the charity stripe in the first meeting. Texas shot 45 free throws, Kansas just 19. Kansas today almost 58% from the field. They're the only major conference team shooting better than 50% as a team on the season.
Well, balance, that's the key, and also is Bill Self's system. Over the years, the high-low offense, the spacing on the floor, and the ability to get the ball from the foul line to the low box.
Lammert hit one, doesn't get that one. Kansas again looking to run. Here's Wiggins. He's had the hot hand. Not that time. And Ellis fouled as he went for the tip-in.
This game is absolutely a mirror image of the game in Austin, with Kansas doing exactly to Texas what was done to them.
And Tim, now Rick Barnes has a little bit of a dilemma. His big guys are all in foul trouble. Prince Ebay's got 2, Cam Ridley's got 2, and Jonathan Holmes has 2.
Well, I think you've got to stick with your backups right now. I mean, Ridley and Holmes are too valuable to get them their third, probably, in this, the way this game is being played. Somehow, some way, they've got to get Isaiah Taylor to create some offense in the half court. And you talk about the physicality of the game inside, that was a key, but controlling Isaiah Taylor and corralling him and keeping him in one spot and not letting him get in the lane was a huge key tonight, and so far Kansas has done a super job with that.
20-point lead for Kansas. Holland tried to get it around Wiggins, could not. Look out, Embiid!
Well, again, this starts with the Kansas defense forcing a tough contested shot and then coming back, just filling the lanes. Texas not doing a good job of retreating, communicating, or matching up in the lane.
When these two teams played earlier this season, Wiggins and Embiid combined for just 15 points on 5 of 21 shooting. Tonight, they've combined for 24 points on 8 of 11 shooting. 5 rebounds for Embiid, 3 for Wiggins. The 2 Kansas freshmen, they knew what was at stake. They knew with a win today, Kansas would be 1 win away from clinching a share of a Big 12 title. And I think there was a little bit of that bitter taste in their mouth from what happened on February 1st.
Well, they came out of the locker room here flying tonight. I mean, they are clicking on all cylinders. And looked like Texas was ready to battle them at the first part of this game. But the lockdown defense of Kansas, starting at the top with Isaiah Taylor, and then the backside rotations and their length at the rim has created the early offense and easy offense for Kansas.
No question. It has started at the defensive end for the Jayhawks. Taylor, wild shot. And another foul down low. They got Tarek Black using the elbow. Media timeout with 3:47 to go. Wiggins and now Embiid.
Matt Schick here, back in the studio. Coming up at halftime, Adrian Branch will join me. Marcus Smart returns from his 3-game suspension, reminding everyone he's a pretty good basketball player. We'll show you how the Cowboys did. Oak State, not the only Big 12 team on the bubble. We'll take you around the league. And Syracuse and Duke from Cameron. Anish.
All right, Matt, here it's Kansas and all Kansas. 35-13, the Jayhawks leading 19th ranked Texas and Allen Fieldhouse. Journey to the tourney, the last undefeated team in the nation. Wichita State looks to keep its perfect season alive. They go on the road to face Bradley. That is Tuesday at 9 Eastern on ESPN2. Wichita State 28-0. They play Drake tonight. Drake 14-13. Here's a question for you, Tim. Is Wichita State the new #1 when the polls come out Monday?
No, I don't think so, because Florida clearly has vaulted themselves into that conversation. It looks like they will be the #1, but I think Greg Marshall will take
did we
top
just
seed.
have a #1 there on the graphic? I think we gave it to him.
Oh, why not? At this point, they deserve everything you give them because they've earned it. No question about it. And Greg Marshall loves it. Just bring it on.
Syracuse lost this week. Florida's had a couple of close calls. And Wichita State, the only team with an unblemished record. Falik's driving and foul. Let's check in with Kaylee again.
Anish, Texas coaches reminding this team they've got to play together. As they tore through the Big 12 with 7 straight wins and several upsets along the way, they did it as a team because, as they say, they know they don't have a superstar on this team. They know they have to work together. That's what's frustrating Rick Barnes right now. He doesn't feel that this team is playing as a whole.
Tim, to Kaylee's point, how does Texas get back into this game? Not easy to do in this environment, in this building against this team.
Well, it's twofold, and we talked ad nauseum already about the lack of movement in the half court, and a lot of that's caused by just Kansas being super aggressive, and Texas has to be aggressive away from the ball. They have to set better screens, and it would help if they play better half-court defense and maybe can get out and get some easy buckets in transition. Let's see if their zone tightens up. They've got to do a better job of finding Wiggins on the wing and keeping the ball out of the low box with Embiid.
Mason finds Wiggins. Kicks it out to Sheldon. That's a three. It won't go. Tipped up, chased down by Wiggins. Mason's entry pass got away from him. Here's Taylor. Taylor, the lightning quick freshman, and he'll get to the foul line. Boy, he is quick off the dribble.
And he gets where he wants to go, too. And he's got that super floater and gets to the free throw line about 6 times a game, which is just amazing for a slight 170-pound freshman. But he's got a lot of grit to his game, a lot of confidence as well. That last possession, Texas, their defense was tightened up a little bit. They allowed Mason into the gaps, but they recovered well in the 2-3. I think Rick's going to the 2-3 just to see if it works, but also to protect his bigs who has some foul issues.
1 out of 2 for Taylor. We had a chance to speak to him at shoot around. He admitted it irked him that none of the recruiting services had him ranked anywhere. ESPN didn't have him in the ESPN 100. Scouts, Rivals, none of the other services gave him any credit. And he said he came to school with a boulder on his shoulder, and that floater goes by Wayne Selden.
He's going to get schooled on that one tomorrow, though. Isaiah Taylor, he kind of shied away, and Wayne Selden put his big chest on that 50-50 ball and took advantage and took it to the rack. And Taylor backed away.
Embiid coming out to guard Taylor. Entry pass to Holmes. He was held by Wiggins.
And these are the plays that the coaches show in the film room on both sides. These are winning plays, and Wayne Selden got this loose ball. You see, he sticks his nose in the play. Isaiah Taylor just sticks his arm in there, and the nose always beats that little arm every time. And Bill Self will show that as a winning play tomorrow in the film session, and Rick Barnes will show that on the other side, as these are plays we need to make if we're going to win big games.
Jonathan Holmes has been the offense for Texas in this first half, but he had to spend a long time on the bench with 2 fouls. Holmes has 7 as he gets 1 out of 2. And Texas with just 16 points in the first half. Their season low for the first half, 18. That was in a loss to Kansas State. Open 3 from Mason, and that's good.
Mason for 3.
Well, that's just terrific offense by Kansas, shrinking the zone, going right to the middle of the floor. Texas turned in, Kansas turned it right back out.
It's been a clinic on both ends of the floor from Kansas. Embiid the block. Felix blocked by Embiid again. eBay. Here comes Kansas. Mason against Taylor to the left hand, and he gets the roll.
The defense is cooking for the Jayhawks tonight. Resistance at the rim.
Felix pulls up. Holmes on the follow, and he's fouled by Embiid.
Well, it was a block party in Austin for the Longhorns when KU visited, and it's just return to sender tonight in Lawrence, because you better not go to the rim weak, because the arms, the legs, the bodies are flying, and then it's off to the races going the other way.
And the free throws haven't been falling for Texas either. Now just 3 of 9 from the free throw line. That last foul was the second on Embiid. Tim Kansas with 7 blocks in the first half.
Well, they came to play, and it starts on the perimeter, and you want to highlight the block shots and the physicality in the lane and the ability to change and resist shots, but Also, offensively, Kansas has been very precise. Here you'll see they'll throw the look into the middle of the zone. They'll shrink the zone in. You watch the guards from Texas, they'll turn in. And as they turn in, Embiid reads the play. He just pitches it right back out for the open shot on the perimeter. This is where Texas, when the ball goes into the middle of the zone, you teach your guards. You have to match up on the perimeter. You can't turn in because those little guards, they can't do anything trying to defend Joel Embiid when he's facing the basket. They've got to fan out to the shooters, and that's good offense by Kansas.
It's been an almost perfect first half for Bill Self's team. Defensively, they've set the tone, and they're shooting 60% from the field on the offensive end.
Well, when you're Kansas, everything gets dissected, and you've won 9 straight Big 12 titles, and everybody wanted to talk about and dissect the first Texas game. And as we said to Bill Self, you are 11-2 and in first place in the league, so it's been pretty good. And they play by far the toughest non-conference schedule in the country.
Mason, shot fake, steps in, and knocks down the jumper. Frank Mason's got 9. He's provided some big minutes off the bench.
Now they're starting to get a good rhythm on both ends of the floor, even in the half court, offensively spacing, sharing the ball, balanced offense.
Felix fires and he's fouled. That was a tough shot for Felix there. He had Connor Lambert open on the wing for a 3. Tenth team foul on Kansas, second on Frank Mason.
Well, when you've won as many games as Bill Self has over the years and have patrolled the sidelines in this building, sometimes you have a little inside feel on how your team's going to play. You wake up in the morning and you say, my team's going to play well tonight. I've got that feeling, and usually that feeling's spot on. You've been there enough to know, and somehow, some way, this morning, Bill Self kind of exuded that type of confidence to his team. Like, we're going to play well tonight.
There was a calm about him when we spoke to him. Yeah, no question. Kansas will hold for one final shot. Connor Frankamp, a three-point shooter, into the game for the Jayhawks, wearing number 23. Here's Ellis. And Perry Ellis with the field goal, 46-18. It's been an almost perfect first half of basketball for Kansas. Kaylee Hartung with Bill Self.
Thanks, Anish. Coach, Andrew Wiggins with a hot hand. How do you explain his productivity against a defense that gave him trouble in Austin?
Well, he made shots. You know, everything looks better when you make shots, and we made shots. That's about as much energy as we played with all year, and I really think our defense keyed our offense.
Your defense has been locked in. How do you explain controlling Isaiah Taylor the way you have?
Well, one guy's not going to guard him. Our big guys have done a good job of being in good help position, and we just got to keep keeping him out of the paint.
Thanks, Coach.
Kansas in that first half shot 63% from the floor. Wiggins had 15. Texas, meanwhile, just 6 of 29. 46-18. All Jayhawks at the break. Let's go to the studio, the Sports Center U halftime report.
All right, thank you, Anish. A tale of 2 different games. Kansas and Texas in Austin, completely different than what we've seen so far in Lawrence Matchik, along with Adrian Branch. Aside from the deficit, Texas was up 15 at the half in Austin. Now it's Kansas up 28 at the half in Lawrence. What's the difference?
It's Rick Barnes' turn to call his team soft, and this is what he's doing with the game plan. At halftime, he said, you are acting soft. In fact, when I was in Israel, I had a coach, Elam Kowalski. He couldn't use the word pride, so he said proud. You're not playing with any proud. And right now, Texas has no proud. What they have to do is compete one possession at a time. Show some proud. They got no proud.
Plenty of proud stuff to be proud of if you're a Kansas fan. Look at the difference between the last meeting in Austin and tonight with Embiid and Wiggins. 24 at the half with 8 field goals and 6 blocks.
They were the biggest culprits, but they met the challenge right here. They're doing an outstanding job. And I'll tell you this, they've set a standard for themselves to say if they can play like this the rest of the year, they're looking at an Elite Eight, possibly a Final Four, because they've been so active. They're playing like stars and high draft picks. Right now, it is a thorough whipping. And that was the headline the first game. Texas whips Kansas, not this first half.
Well, there's one other Big 12 team ranked in action today. It's number 17, Iowa State, visiting TCU. Kean Anderson to Kamar Shepard for the dunk. Double-double for Shepard in this one. TCU just so short-handed. So many injuries on this team, but hanging in there early. There's DeAndre Kane to Melvin Edgin. Then Kean Anderson, one of the fine players you don't hear much about.
Exactly. Now, you have to score points against Iowa State because they're one of the top-scoring teams in the nation, and they keep coming at you from 5 scoring positions.
DeAndre Kane for 20. George Niang, he knocks it in. Iowa State has won 6 of 7. TCU still looking for their first conference win. Today also marked the return of Marcus Smart for Oklahoma State after sitting out 3 games for his suspension, getting into it with a fan at Texas Tech here at the much more friendly Gallagher, Iowa. There's Smart taking it and the foul. Then Smart, end of the first half, knocks it in, then steal, lay.
Oh, he came out with a vengeance. His teammates complimented him. There was balanced scoring for him. They did everything they needed to do to try to get back on the winning side of things.
Yeah, after losing 7 straight, first 7-game losing streak for the program in more than 40 years. There's Smart. Smart with 16 points, 10 assists, 6 steals, only Big 12 player in league history to have those numbers. Kansas State taking on Oklahoma State's in-state rival. It's Oklahoma, and Kansas State just trying to get a road win, but it just isn't happening. Buddy Hield had 18.
You know what? Oklahoma is showing me something. Week after week, they're one of the youngest teams in the nation, but they're coming out with a consistent performance, especially at home.
Isaiah Cousins with the 3. Oklahoma is at Kansas on Monday night. The Sooners have won 3 of 4. A very bubblicious game in Morgantown. Baylor visiting West Virginia. Baylor on the bubble, needing a win to get into the field. West Virginia entered the day in the field. A loss would put them out. Aaron Harris, the 3, back-to-back threes, but Royce O'Neal, the story, 8 of 8 from the floor, 4 of 4 from 3, should have shot more.
And complimented the big guys, too. The big guys down low. Isaiah Austin was nice, 19 points, had 8 blocks. They were outstanding.
Baylor with 4 straight wins. They're at Texas on Wednesday, and here's updating Joe Lenardi's bracketology. He knows all, he says all, and he shares all. Last 4 in: BYU, St. John's, Tennessee, and Providence. First 4 out, there's Oklahoma State right on the bubble line.
Well, it's interesting because now you have the last 2 weeks of the season, and plus all these teams want to win 2 or 3 games in conference tournament. So this is going to be a photo finish.
Some other games involving some bubble teams or teams trying to move up. There's Kentucky taking down LSU at home.
Heartbreaking. Kentucky, LSU was tough in the paint, but Kentucky hit a huge shot. Julius Randle right in the paint.
Tennessee, tough loss for their postseason hopes, losing to Texas A&M. There you see Ohio State putting a nice string together, and Villanova takes down St. John's, St. John's team that had not lost in the month of February. When we return, yes, they're painted in blue, but the Orange are in town against Duke, a rematch of a classic from the Carrier Dome. Andrew Wiggins needs to do a little bit more for Kansas. Wiggins is trailing Texas 18-15 in this one at halftime. My goodness. A much better game going on ESPN, although we want you to stay watching ESPN. Look at this, Duke and Syracuse. Remember the rematch of the Classic in the Carrier Dome just a couple of weeks ago. Coach K, Coach Boeheim embracing, and then their teams would duke it out. Rashid Suleiman misses. Marshall Plumlee growing up in this one.
Yeah, they're letting both teams play. It's a physical game. It's aggressive, and they're contesting each other on every possession.
There's the lay-in there from Suleiman. It was tied at 26 at the half. Second half, Syracuse down 3, and Syracuse going to get it going. Oh, Jeremy Grant's open.
Well, that's what he does. Right now, slasher and relied a lot on the jumper. But Trevor Cooney has been quiet in this game as well.
Rodney Hood voicing up. Duke right now up 48-45 on Syracuse. Very similar competitive game like we saw.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of separation because they're quick enough to get out to the shooters on both sides. Syracuse wants to get points in the paint, three-point shooting for Duke.
Remember, the last #1 team to lose as a #1 team twice in the same week was Texas 4 years ago. Syracuse trying to avoid their second loss of the week. Of course, losing to Boston College. #3 team in all the land. It's Wichita State. Maybe trying to make a claim to #1, but probably not going to get it. But taking on Drake, here's Fred VanVleet, and VanVleet to Darius Carter at the roundhouse.
These guys have been in midseason form since December. You see the aggressiveness, low turnovers, and coming out in a workmanlike performance.
Nick Wiggins, Andrew's brother, missed that one, but put in there by Lou Field and Wichita State up there. American Athletic Conference, it is a top 15 showdown, Louisville and Cincinnati. You saw Oscar Robertson there, and he's there to watch Sean Kilpatrick become just the second player to score 2,000 career points for Cincy. He would do that, but late in the game, actually this is early second half, Terry Rozier still lay-in, but then down 1, Louisville's Russ Smith. Clutch.
Hit an improbable shot, and Cincinnati is stunned by that.
Cincinnati inbound. You need something here. You get
yeah.
Louisville, their first win over a ranked team this season. Now just a half game back of Cincinnati in the AAC. Other scores from around the country. Florida holds off Ole Miss, and Ole Miss team was looking for something.
Yeah, and Stanford as well, going out west, knocks off UCLA, a signature win for them in that senior class.
Wisconsin sweeps the season series, the regular season series against Iowa with another win. They're looking good. Coming up tonight here on ESPNU, another top 25 team. It is Memphis in the American Athletic Conference, taking on Temple. That's right when we're done here in Lawrence. Joel Embiid, not done yet. 9 points, 6 rebounds. Kansas ended the half on a 43-10 run. That's a long run. They're good. A 43-10 run over the final 15.5 minutes for Kansas. How does Texas get back in this, AB?
One possession at a time. Can't look at the score. They've just got to get positive possessions.
Well, then they shouldn't watch now because the score is out of hand. 46-18, second half next.
In the first 20 minutes of play, Kansas operated with surgical precision. Defense led to offense. Kansas efficient on both ends of the floor, and they've got a big lead as we get ready for the start of the second half. Anish Shroff, Tim Welsh. Tim, you look at the first 20 minutes and what Kansas did, given who the opponent was, given what Texas did to Kansas. The first time around, it's as good as 20 minutes of basketball as you'll see this season.
I don't usually believe in paybacks. I think that's a bunch of whatever. But today it's fact, because Kansas came out of the gates ready, early, and often. They made shots. Sure, Bill Self talked about that at halftime, but it started with their defense. Aggressive on the perimeter, on-ball defense. Their coverage defensively, not only on the perimeter, but in the lane, superb. And it just triggered their offense going the other way. That's what happens. That's how you shoot 63%. You force the other team into contested shots, and then you get runouts to the rim, and you have finishers like Embiid and Wiggins.
Wiggins, 15 points in that first half. Embiid, 9 points, 5 blocks. Remember, those two struggled when these two played in Austin earlier this month. And meanwhile, for Texas, Isaiah Taylor 0 for 10 in the first half. Just 1 point. And Cam Ridley scoreless. He didn't even attempt a field goal. Hook shot by Embiid, not there. And here comes Taylor for Texas. 0 for 10 from the field in the first half for the freshman. Entry pass to Ridley. Bullies his way in, and it's knocked out of bounds. Kaylee Hartung spoke with Rick Barnes before the start of the second half. Kaylee, what did Coach Barnes have to say?
Anish, the conversation I just had with Coach Barnes, an echo of everything Bill Self told me in Austin a few weeks back. He said very simply, we didn't fight back. We deserve to get run over in the way that they have. To Rick Barnes now, this isn't about X's and O's. This isn't about trying to slow down Andrew Wiggins' hot hand or manufacturing offense of their own. This is about figuring out how to do things as a team, to do things they practice and fight back.
Jonathan Holmes with the putback. He's got half of Texas's points. Holmes with 10. Here's Embiid on Ridley. Both have 2 fouls as Ridley pokes it away.
That's one of the negatives of the sideline reporter's job, is to have to go talk to a coach who's getting pounded right now. And Rick Barnes is a fighter himself, and he was upset today still from the game in Ames earlier in the week, and just not happy with the response. And It's one thing to miss shots and not execute, but clearly his team is not battling the way he wants them to, and which they've done all season long. You don't get that record that they have 20-6 by just floating around, and they played tough all season long, so look for them to answer the call.
Shot clock down to 5. Tharp over Felix. And the rebound again to Taylor. Taylor floats it over Sheldon. He's now 0 for 11. And how about Taylor catching up to Sheldon? He knocks it away, but last touch on Isaiah Taylor, so Kansas keeps it.
Checking in for Texas, Martez Walker.
Well, Isaiah Taylor trying to make some things happen, and he and Javon Felix just got to the rim a few times. We're just haven't got the bounce at the rim, and sometimes the presence of the shot blocker in the middle just makes you hesitate enough to miss.
Martez Walker into the game for Felix. Embiid, the little turnaround. Boy, if he starts making that with any consistency, forget about it.
But that's, again, Cam Ridley just stood there. He stood dead behind him, and then when Embiid went into his shot, did not even leave his feet to contest.
There's Holmes from the outside, and he has been the offense for the Longhorns.
Well, Cameron Ridley and Holmes cannot worry at all about foul trouble. I mean, this game is too far out of hand. They've just got to play basketball and present some sort of resistance down on the block defensively.
Wiggins to Embiid. And Embiid fouled as he was working in traffic.
I mean, this is a set play by Kansas. They run the ball screen, then they reverse the floor, then they go right inside and get one-on-one coverage down low. And you see Ridley on the turnaround fadeaway. He just gets caught flat-footed and doesn't extend out to Embiid. He's got to move his feet. As Embiid goes into his shot, he's got to slide out to him and get up and contest. And on that last play, to put him on the foul line, he was flat-footed again on the low box.
Third foul on Ridley. And Ridley to the bench. In comes Prince Ebay, who's got 2 fouls.
Well, Rick Barnes doesn't have the advantage of a video replay, but he's got 2 eyeballs and about 35 years of experience to see that Cam Ridley is not playing any defense right now.
Ridley was a force in that first meeting. 9 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks. And I think what a lot of folks took away from that first meeting, he absolutely posterized Joel Embiid on one dunk.
He just looks out of it right now. Maybe the foul troubles got into his head, but Rick Barnes has him on the bench.
Holmes lost it. It goes through Ebay's legs. Sheldon dives for it, calls timeout, and the fans applaud the hustle play by Wayne Sheldon. Even up 26, Kansas still diving for the loose balls. Jayhawks rolling. Anish Shroff, Tim Welsh, Kaylee Hartung. Kansas up by 26 on Texas. We've said it a number of times. What we've seen so far today, a stark contrast from what we saw on February 1st in Austin. Isaiah Taylor and Cameron Ridley, they both all but disappeared. Meanwhile, Wiggins and Embiid have been the story for Kansas.
It's been the defense for Kansas. Bill Self talked about it at halftime. And not just the on-ball defense with Isaiah Taylor. Their ball screen coverage has been terrific.
Kaylee Hartung with more. Kaylee?
Anish, for Texas, this now comes down to a battle of mental toughness and focus. After the road losses at Kansas State and at Iowa State, that's what Rick Barnes said was missing. It was mental toughness and focus. He said leading up to both of those games, the preparation was there, but here they are again, a week where they thought the preparation was here, but the mental toughness, something you can't teach. You need the experience, and for these two young players, they're getting it right here.
In that first meeting, Texas led by 15 at the half. This time around, Texas had scored just 18 points in the first half. Jayhawks break the press. Trailer all the way to the basket, blocked by eBay. And it's out of bounds. Last touch, Texas.
Well, Rick Barnes just trying to push any button he can and see which one works. And he's mixed defenses. He's tried to press a little bit. He's went to 2 or 3 different zones. And Kansas is just clicking on all cylinders. Right now, their offense, great execution.
Foul is on Taylor. It's his second. Well, Kansas, just a different team at home. And over the years, this is maybe the best home court advantage in all of college basketball. On the season, Kansas shooting about 54% at Allen Fieldhouse. And under Bill Self, he's got 9 home losses since he took over the head coach as the head coach at Kansas. And the Jayhawks have 9 Big 12 regular season titles. It's a pretty good ratio.
It's just mind-boggling to think at a highest of level that you can win that many league titles in a row.
Offensive rebound by Kansas. Trailer passes out of the double team. Selden inside for Embiid, able to recover. There's the double on Embiid, finds Wiggins. Selden lost it. Still 15 to shoot. Wiggins steps back. And a rebound by Selden. There's Tharp for 3. And Prince eBay comes away with the board. And Isaiah Taylor finally has his first field goal. He had missed his first 11 shots.
Well, that's what he does best, the change of direction and the great body control at the rim.
Taylor had 23 points back in Austin on February 1st. He's coming off a nice game against Iowa State, even though Texas lost. Embiid lost the handle. Wiggins, back iron. Another rebound by eBay. Walker turns it over.
On Embiid's presence, he didn't block that shot, but he came storming nose to nose with Walker, and there was no room to operate.
Texas gets it back, and Holland is fouled. Kansas just 1 of 9 from the field here in the second half, but still up comfortably. Big Monday on ESPNU. Oklahoma State coming off a win today against Texas Tech. Takes on TCU. The Cowboys, one of Joel Lunardi's first 4 out. So they cannot lose to a TCU team that is winless in Big 12 play. And Marcus Smart returned today from a 3-game suspension. And Tim, Smart 16 points, 10 assists. He also had 6 steals. Oak State needs some positive mojo here over the final few games if they want to get into the tournament.
You know, it's hard to say, but this may have helped him because his game was up and down clearly before the suspension. Now it looks like putting his nose to the grindstone, and they've got the Kansas State matchup back-to-back at home, which are just huge, which could put Oklahoma State over the top and back in the picture.
The one thing about this league, yes, it's a gauntlet, and really outside of TCU, there's no easy out. But for bubble teams, it also means there are opportunities. You can play yourself into the tournament because of the Big 12 schedule.
Well, we've seen that with Baylor. And when Baylor looked down and out, and now they've won 3 in a row and looked like they've righted the ship. And today, just an impressive win at West Virginia.
Anish Shroff, Tim Welsh, Kaylee Hartung from Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas, big lead at the half. Still up by 24. And that's a block by Wiggins on DeMarcus Croker. Wiggins with 15 points in the first half, averages about 16 on the season. Here's Tharp. Kicks it out to Selden. Wiggins using the shot fake, drives to the basket, and a foul before the shot. It's on the floor on Texas.
That's what Andrew Wiggins has done over the last few weeks, especially in the Texas Tech game. Just more aggressive, getting the ball into the lane. That big jump stop and the bounce off the left hand. He likes to score mostly with the right, but you see an improved ball handler over the last couple months with Andrew Wiggins.
Third foul on eBay. Cam Ridley also has 3. And eBay just picked up his 4th.
Cam Ridley coming back into the game, and let's see if that little siesta over there with Coach Rick helped, because he's clearly has been half the player tonight that he was in the first game.
Bill Self told us part of the game plan today was to attack the Texas bigs. They've done that. And Ridley and Holmes were in foul trouble in the first half, and now eBay's got 4. Ridley on the floor with 3. Offensive rebound by Embiid, and he's fouled. And the foul starting to pile up right now on the Texas big men.
Well, again, Embiid was quick and active to the angle of the rebound, and Cam Ridley kind of stood and watched.
That last foul on Jonathan Holmes, so 3 on Holmes, 3 on Ridley, 4 on eBay.
And we discussed Cam Ridley's play tonight, and we've analyzed it, maybe overanalyzed it, because of the fact he's had such a great year, and you expect a little bit more. And you look at his numbers compared to Embiid on the season, and they're right there neck and neck. And he outplayed Joel Embiid in Austin, and he's been one of the main reasons Texas has had a superior season.
Connor Lambert checks in for Prince eBay, or rather Jonathan Holmes. As Embiid misses the free throw, Wiggins going for the offensive rebound, and he's fouled. He's got 4 fouls on this trip down court for Kansas.
That's another one of those plays. Rick Barnes may not wait to show this tomorrow. This may be shown on the plane. I want the ball and you don't. A winning play by Andrew Wiggins.
Already the 6th team foul on Texas with 14:31 to go in the second half.
Those plays are not in the stat sheet or will not be on SportsCenter, but they will be on the little video edit that the coach shows to his team, because those are the plays that take you over the top and bring you more of a team attitude, and it transcends to the rest of your basketball team. And that's exactly what Rick Barnes is telling Cam Ridley right now. You got to go get that ball. He's putting him right back in.
Ridley to the scorers table. Another turnover by Texas. Here's Wiggins down the lane through the contact for 2. Wiggins has 19. The Longhorns turn it over yet again.
Well, Andrew Wiggins is showing every piece of his game tonight. The three-point shooting, the dunking, the activity on defense, but also the ability to knife and create with not much room. And then ran back and sprinted back from one end of the court to the opposite end to cause that turnover in the corner.
You know, I asked Rick Barnes at shoot-around today, playing at Allen Fieldhouse with a very young team. Texas only has one upperclassman. If that's a big deal, how much stock he puts into something like that. Isaiah Taylor, a true freshman point guard, as Selden knocks down the jumper. And Barnes kind of shrugged his shoulders. He said, no, it's a road game. Some of our sophomores have played here, not that big a deal, but playing here with this crowd, the magnitude of this game, you would think it's got to have some impact on performance.
Well, I think it's all, you add it all up, including the team that was revved up, amped up, and had a terrific game plan and put it in play. And you have what you have, but here's Cam Ridley again. This is what happened in Austin, and this is what he did. He posted up, he carved up deep space, and he attacked the rim. And we haven't seen that enough with Texas tonight.
That had some similarities to the one in Austin. Embiid just picked up his third foul, and for Ridley, that was his first field goal. He's been one of the most improved players of this league this season.
I think Rick Barnes took him out of the game for that brief moment and just said, listen, you've got one more chance. You're going to show me you're ready and you want to play, or maybe we'll just sit you the rest of the game. And he put him right back into his credit, and Ridley answered.
Here's Tharp over Isaiah Taylor. Loose ball, and Kansas, they've been quicker to every loose ball tonight. Taylor comes away with that one. 3-on-1 for Texas. Taylor all the way, and good defense by Tharp to knock it away.
That was good defense by Tharp, but absolutely Taylor should have dished this off to Felix. He had Felix right next to him. All he had to do was stop and just basically hand it off, and Felix had a layup.
There's the lob to Ridley. Wiggins knocked it away. Harry Ellis, the big fella, leading the break, and one.
Now this starts with a combination of good defense and bad offense. Cam Ridley tries to put the ball down on the floor in traffic, and you can't do that. There's no reason to dribble the ball there for a big man. And then coming the other way, Perry Ellis, sometimes feast or famine. Tonight, feasting on Texas.
Ellis had 32 points, a career high last Saturday against TCU. He was 13 of 15 from the floor in that game and then disappeared against Texas Tech. He had 4 points, but did not have a field goal. And Bill Self, and you talk to some of the Kansas assistants, they'll tell you, Perry Ellis and Nadir Tharp, those guys have to be more consistent for the Jayhawks going forward. Shot clock under 10. Felix over Tharp. Wiggins tries to save it, but it's out of bounds to Texas. Kaylee's got more on Nadir Tharp.
And he's speaking to Nadir today. He told me he understands the role he needs to play here. After getting punched in the mouth at Texas, after not responding in the way that they did, he said he knew he had to lead the charge today. He knew he had to set the tone and do things differently today.
Tharp just 1 of 8 shooting, but he does have 4 assists. Frank Mason into the game, and Tim Mason has given Bill Self some great minutes off the bench. 4 for 4 in that first half, 9 points.
Tharp, Selden, and Mason, their defense has been A+. If they grade out their defense after this game, you can throw out the offensive numbers for Nadir Tharp and Mason and Selden. They have just been terrific on the perimeter, on-ball defense, away from the ball, and ball screen coverage.
Ellis thought about the 3. Lambert was giving it to him. Ellis drives, and it's out of bounds. John Higgins looking for help, gets it from Steve Olson. Texas ball. Sometimes the big guy can run the floor, and sometimes you cringe, sometimes it works out. Perry Ellis, the haberdasher. Kansas's largest lead tonight has been 31. They lead by 29, 11:51 to go here in Lawrence. Tim, let's take a look at your all Big 12 first team.
Well, all I know is when you have the best conference in the country, it's hard to find 5 guys. So I'll state that early. But these 5 guys, it's a very fluid situation. I know you have some ideas out there. Jawan Staten has been terrific for Huggins.
I'm going to put a little write-in vote here.
Wait a minute. The play-by-play guy is not supposed to go into the telestrator area.
Melvin Edgem.
Yes, of course. He's the leading scorer in the league. He deserves it. He deserves to be on the first team as well. And listen, any of those guys, you could probably put 8 or 9 guys on the first team in this conference.
Perry Ellis, offensive rebound. Tariq Black in the Memphis transfer gets it to go.
Blacken has been a physical presence inside and just adds to that front court depth with Jamari Traylor. Just 2 physical guys that Bill Self can go to.
There's Kendall Yancey. Finds Martez Walker, freshman to freshman, and Walker, the guard out of Detroit, Michigan, knocks down the 3.
Well, if you're Rick Barnes, you've got 18 million things going on in your head right now. How do we get back in this game? How do we show a little toughness? How do we get some confidence just to finish this game off the right way? Just to get a little bit better taste in our mouth. Not like that.
Tariq Black once again down low. He came over from Memphis and really had to adapt to his role with this Kansas team early on. And he's starting to feel his way as a defender, a rebounder. Problem for him this season has been foul trouble. Yancey, the teardrop not there, and there's Ridley on the putback. That's something Texas does real well on the season. They rebound about 39% of their misses. Top mark in the Big 12.
Cam really moving his feet well on that offensive rebound. He needs to do the same on the defensive end.
Mason, nice pass to Wiggins. Poked loose by Martez Walker. It came to Selden. Mason passed up the 3. Now Wiggins, open 3 from the corner. In and out. And Jonathan Holmes wrestles away the board from Black. Black got his hand on that one. Another turnover by Texas. Wiggins for the two-handed flush.
Well, every loose ball or pop ball seems to go right to Wayne Selden tonight. Is that luck? No, it's not luck. It's his nose for the ball, his aggressive defense, and the ability to finish plays at the rim with Wiggins.
Sunday night on ESPNU, we get you started at 6 Eastern with ACC Sunday Night Basketball. Florida State visiting Pitt. Panthers haven't played since last Saturday when they lost to North Carolina, and then it's Arizona State, Utah, in a Pac-12 clash at 8. Felix, he is not gun shy. No good on the 3. Wiggins the rebound, and here comes Tharp.
Kansas has been very patient in the half court when they haven't had transition opportunities. Spacing the floor, changing sides, sharing the ball.
Here's Tharp. He's blocked by Ridley, 3rd in the Big 12 in block shots. Holland the other way. And there's the putback by Ridley. So this is a good sign for Rick Barnes. Team's down big, but Cam Ridley playing with some purpose here in the second half.
Rick Barnes delivered the message on that little siesta, that 20-second break he took. And you have to show me something or else I'm taking you out of this game. And he's been very good on the offensive end. He just has to move his feet a little better on the defensive end.
Out of bounds to Kansas. Black battling for position with Ridley down low.
Well, Texas very physical at the rim, and in transition, this is what they did in Austin. They got runouts to the rim and just were effective on the putbacks.
Now Cam Ridley struggled at times last year, but he came in as a big-time recruit, was a McDonald's All-American, actually was rated higher than guys like Marcus Smart coming out of high school.
He got himself in shape. He understood how to play. He now understands how to play at the speed of college basketball. And got himself in shape in the offseason and just been very effective for Texas.
Frankamp beats the shot clock. It's good. The sharpshooter from Wichita has been a crowd favorite here at Allen Fieldhouse. Here's Croker for three. It's the front rim. Offensive rebound to eBay. Holmes over Trailer.
And that last possession, Anish, offensively for Kansas, again, just typifies what they've done all night long. Patience, spacing, the extra pass to find the open man.
Here's Black. And Tarek Black to the line to shoot two. Kansas in control. Even Connor Frankamp getting in on the action. We flash back to January 22nd, 2011, right here at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas came in with a 69-game home court win streak. They did not leave with that 69-game home court win streak intact. Big win for Rick Barnes and for Texas, 74-63. They've had some good games between the two over the years. In fact, Kansas and Texas, since the Big 12 formed in the 96-97 season, they are the two winningest programs in this conference's history.
And you look at the score tonight, and I think we focused a lot on Kansas, and rightfully so, but I think Texas has to be applauded for having just a terrific season. And
no question.
And as I looked at them deep coming into this game, I think they're built to last. There's no question about it. This game, notwithstanding, they've got depth, they've got a terrific point guard, they've got a lot of size, and they've got balance. And I think tonight they just got punched in the face by a team waiting for them and ready after they got knocked down a few weeks ago in Texas. So Texas will be back, and I think they're a team that could be very dangerous in the tournament because of what we just said.
Rick Barnes should get a lot of credit too. Before the season started, he talked a lot about initiating a culture change in Austin. And usually when coaches talk about a culture change, they weren't the coach the previous season. And so Barnes has to get a lot of credit midstream. I mean, he'd been there for 15 years and said, you know what? I recognize some problems here. Rather than have somebody else from the outside come in and fix them, I think we can fix this. The chemistry has been better. The team has played more together this season. And the results have been tangible on the court. 20-6, 9-4 in conference play. And, you know, outcome of this game notwithstanding, Barnes is still probably the favorite for Big 12 Coach of the Year, and he's in the conversation for National Coach of the Year.
Well put, Anish. And, you know, it's a very difficult thing to do within a program in a short period of time, but it's a little bit easier when the problems are not there anymore. And that's what Texas has. They have a group of hungry players, a lot of new faces that, you know, forget about me. They've taken the we attitude, and that's why they're 20-6 to this day.
Croker over Frankamp, and that's good. DeMarcus Croker, the freshman from Orlando. Mason trapped.
I like Croker and Yancey as two other good freshman guards for Rick Barnes.
Here's Trailer down the lane, and he will shoot two. Fifth foul on Prince eBay, so eBay is done. You look at the scoring improvement across the board. Jonathan Holmes, Javon Felix, Cam Ridley, DeMarcus Holland. All of them have been better You take a look at a guy like Felix. Last year, he was pressed into point guard duty when Mike Kabongo was suspended. Really baptism by fire. And this conference had some growing pains. Well, that's helped him this year become a better player.
Well, when you lose your top scorers, usually that's a bad thing. But when they don't play the way you want them to play, and Rick Barnes' teams over the years have been, they put their hard hats on. They play a tough, physical style. They play together, and they want to play defense. And his club last year didn't do any of that. They're more individualized than a team. And this year's team has just been a joy to watch because of what we've seen most of the season with balance and just togetherness and great chemistry.
Away from the ball, foul on Connor Frankamp.
You look at the difference just in the two games. Texas got to the free throw line 45 times in the first game. Tonight they've only got to the free throw line 13 times. So Kansas has done a very good job of keeping them out of the lane and away from the rim.
Taylor, there's that one-arm floater. It just is not falling for him today. He is 1 for 13.
Well, he's had some tough bounces, but most of them have been contested and under duress, and that's Kansas. Their game plan tonight was to start offensively, go inside, but defensively control and contain Isaiah Taylor.
Here's Mason for three. Back iron. And the rebound to Taylor. Here's Holmes, and that's good. Jonathan Holmes with 17 of Texas's 43 points. Timeout by Rick Barnes in Texas. Tim, you know, something to take away for Kansas, a big question for the Jayhawks, not just going into this game, but going forward. How would they handle physical teams? They struggled the first time against Texas. Villanova, a physical team, beat them. Florida, a physical team, beat them. San Diego State, a physical team, beat them here at Allen Fieldhouse. This has to be a good sign as Kansas gets ready for the postseason, that they can handle the physicality of opponents.
I mean, they flipped the switch tonight. If you just were dropped down into this building and hadn't watched college basketball at all, you would say Kansas is a physical team because they took the ball right to Texas offensively into the lane and posted them up around the rim. But defensively, they pushed them all over the floor. They never let them get comfortable in their offense. They were running their offense 25 feet from the basket. They were entering the ball way beyond the three-point line, which didn't allow them to get into their high-low game or easy looks on the low box. And so Kansas tonight answered the call, and Bill Self did a real good job not only preparing his team but using his bench and giving his guards a very good game plan on how to play the pick and roll and how to contain Isaiah Taylor.
Kansas on its way to its 12th Big 12 conference win of the season. That means with a win Monday against Oklahoma, the Jayhawks can clinch a share of the conference title. As Frank Mason lays it in for two, and it's back to a 30-point advantage. Ridley with the big finish down low.
Rick Barnes has the three big men in the game together, and he's going to experiment with this going down the stretch, maybe give them a little bit more size, maybe play a little more zone with Lammert, Ridley, and Holmes in the game.
Black over Ridley. It's a lot of girth going up against each other. And Taylor fouled, reaching against Kansas. Fouls on Nadir Tharp, his second. Tim, you alluded to this earlier. Kansas a couple of wins away from a 10th consecutive Big 12 regular season title. In the modern era of one and dones and early entries, what Bill Self has done is remarkable. And to do it at a program like Kansas in a major conference.
Well, as you could see, no one else has done it in the modern era in a major conference. So that's how special it is.
Connor Lammert knocks down the outside shot. We check in with Kaylee.
These Kansas fans are calling this the quest for a decade of dominance. And that was dominance we just saw at the rim from the Jayhawks. But as Bill Self says, this game today about Texas isn't about the league race. It's about playing a team that already handled us once. Kansas here responding to the bell.
No question. And Tariq Black getting a rise from his teammates. The Kansas bench right now standing up as Cam Ridley is fouled.
This is 1975, circa Dr. J, the Julius Irving. This is when I was growing up, Anish, watching the New York Nets. Oh my goodness.
Tarek Black, 6'9", 260 pounds. That's a Sports Center top 10 nominee. So Cam Ridley, the first time around, got one of those YouTube moments on Joel Embiid. We may be seeing that one go viral pretty quickly.
Not much can leave this crowd breathless, but I think they are after that move.
Black, the most experienced player on the roster. We told you about Texas having just one upperclassman. Black's really the only senior who sees significant minutes for Kansas. Frank to the tune.
Thought he was going to throw it up to Black and get another one, but he says, I got this one, big fella.
Taylor gobbled up, and he's fouled. Third on Traylor.
And it hasn't mattered. Whoever Bill Self has put in the game has delivered, not only with the game plan and precise offense, but just physicality, aggression, toughness, and that nose on the loose ball.
It's been a tough afternoon, tough evening for Isaiah Taylor. 1 for 13. He's a guy who had 23 points the first time against Kansas, freshman from the Bay Area, then played a couple of years of high school ball in the Houston area. Flew under the radar, was only a 3-star recruit, and he let us know at shoot-around today. That bothered him, that people didn't think higher of him. But Rick Barnes saw something, his assistant saw something in him. They took a chance, and he's going to be a all-conference, first-team all-conference freshman.
Well, he's a competitor, and not only that bothers him, this bothers him. What's going on tonight, you could see it in his eyes, and I am certain he will bounce back, as will Texas, from this night of horrors.
Here's Andrew White, number 3 in white, checking into the game for Kansas for the first time. Frank Mason from the outside. And Mason's got 14, one shy of his career high. Nothing falling for Taylor, but the tip there by Ridley.
Well, Frank Mason made that 3, and he had a quick glance over to the big fella, Bill Self, on the sideline. I want to just make sure that shot was okay.
Here's the lob for Black.
Should be noted, and it's obvious Bill Self has all 5 starters on the bench, but the subs have delivered.
A foul on Tarek Black, and Black's been bringing down the house here at Allen Fieldhouse.
Joe Jackson and Memphis looking for their 5th win in 6 games, taking on one of the bottom feeders of the AAC. It is Temple. It is all over at Cameron Indoor. Syracuse and Duke, and what a finish it was. Syracuse down 2, 10 seconds to go. CJ Fair drives, and a charge is called. Jim Boeheim nearly loses his jacket. He loses his mind. 2 technicals. He's ejected. Duke would hit their free throws and win it 66-60, guys.
You think that game might be talked about this coming week a little bit?
Hey, the new rivalry.
I guess so. 2 straight losses now.
Forget Georgetown. It's
for
Duke
Syracuse.
for Syracuse.
Syracuse now 12-2 in the ACC. How about Duke? Give Duke some credit. 4 games in 8 days, 2 games in 3 days against North Carolina and Syracuse, and they're able to bounce back from that loss at Chapel Hill.
Syracuse now has to go to Maryland, will be a tough out on Monday night.
Checking into the Jayhawk lineup, Justin Wesley, Landon Lucas, and Brandon Green.
Justin Wesley into the game. Brandon Green, Landon Lucas, Connor Frankamp on the floor for Kansas. Here's Frankamp. And a sharpshooter out of Wichita misfires. Andrew White also in the game for Kansas. Yancey, Ridley, Croker, Lammert, and Martez Walker, the 5 for Texas. Rebounded by Wesley. He is the younger brother of former Kansas star Keith Langford. Lucas working on Ridley. Kicks it out to White. And White way off. Was the shot deflected? No. It will be Texas ball.
Well, a hot Baylor team coming into Austin this week, so Rick Barnes has to regroup and go back to the things that they did well in the last 6 weeks before the Iowa State and Kansas road trip. So a lot of teams have come into this building and gone to Ames, come out with L's. So Texas will regroup, I'm sure.
Croker is fouled, so he'll shoot 2. DeMarcus Croker, 2 points so far, 1 for 4 in this game. He hadn't had a field goal in his previous 5 games. No good on the free throw, a 73% free throw shooter.
It's really a fine line how you approach these type losses, because you know the first instinct is you just want to hammer your team, and every one of them you just break the tape down and go all negative. But also with a young team, you've got to be very careful of their confidence level and that they don't lose the confidence that they had in winning those 20 games and all those top 25 wins. They're a very good team, so you've got to pick out the good points of their season and try to get back to doing what they've done well over the past 2 months.
And especially in this league, with the schedule being what it is and with so many good teams in the Big 12, a 1 or 2 game losing streak can turn into 3 or 4 pretty quick.
Now, you're a competitor as a coach, and nobody's a tougher competitor than Rick Barnes, so he'll find a way to push the right buttons to get this team back on track, I'm sure.
Lucas no good, held ball. Possession arrow, Texas. Meanwhile, for Kansas, if they win Monday against Oklahoma, as you see, fast break points have been controlled by the Jayhawks. If Kansas is to win Monday against Oklahoma, that would be 10 straight regular season Big 12 titles. Kansas would clinch a share of this year's conference title and have a 3-game lead over all the 5-loss teams behind them. Ridley lost the handle. Lammert cleans up. The Rock Chalk chant has started. Here's Frankamp. Andrew White pulls down the offensive rebound.
Well, the other good news for Kansas is Joel Embiid looks back and healthy and ready for the stretch run. And that's can put everybody on a string, a tight string when a back injury comes into play. But he looks like he's played through and he's ready to go.
Shot clock down to 8. Here's White from the corner. And that's good. Andrew White knocks down the 3. his 8th of the season. And Kansas calls a timeout to get some walk-ons in. Evan Manning, the son of Danny Manning, checks in. Nico Roberts, the son of assistant coach Norm Roberts. And Christian Garrett, a junior walk-on, checks into the game for Kansas. Some good bloodlines on the court. Bill Self's son also on the team, but he's redshirting this year out with an injury. Martez Walker hits the back iron. Yancey, the freshman, with the offensive rebound. That's no good. Texas under 36% from the floor for the game. Kansas 52% from the field. This was a dominant win by the Jayhawks. Tim, what sort of statement did Kansas make today?
Well, they made a statement that they're feeling it. They're feeling their 10th straight. And it's not there yet, but that's an incredible number that he's about to attain. 10 straight Big 12 titles.
We saw Bill Self crack a smile there. Bill Self has a lot to be happy about. Kansas gets a measure of revenge against Texas. 85-54 your final score. For Tim Welsh and Kaylee Hartung, I'm Anish Shroff. Now we go back to the studio and Matt Schick.
Thank you, guys. Well done.